like it was all going to be about a draw. Both teams had some chances, but it just seemed like time was ticking. You're like, okay, this is going to be a draw. It's the two teams who are very friendly with each other. It's probably going to end up this way. And then we get a I forget who drew the foul that set up the free kick for Thomas Oyan in the 89th minute. But Thomas Oyan, as he's done all season long, puts in a dangerous play, a dangerous pass into the box, and usually you're looking for one of the big men to come in there and be involved in that, Kaminsky or Poulter or something like that. But the captain, Danny Latza, gets his header on it, gets it in the goal in the 89th minute with a minute to spare, scores the goal. I think we ended up having like 7 minutes of stoppage time, but man, good to see Danny Latza get a goal and us fighting in the game where it actually means something to us. So we get all 3 points. Huge play. Again, if a set piece, a Thomas Oyan free kick, and Latza putting it away. It was a great way to end that game, I thought.
Yeah, obviously that's Oyan at his best is whipping in some of those balls, hit it hard, hit it with pace, a little bit of whip on it. All Danny Latza has to do really is redirect it. Fair play to him too. Not somebody who's always selected, somebody that we're critical of the times in terms of his performances. I heard Geraerts after the game basically say he likes Danny though because he's can play football, which is funny to say. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Hopefully they all can. That's what they're doing for the sport. But like, you know what I mean? He's like, he can play the ball a little bit. He can he do a little football. So maybe we'll see more of him if the manager kind of likes what he brought to the game.
Yeah.
It could be a guy, especially if we're not necessarily behind all the time. Could be a guy to bring in to kind of control things from like a pace perspective.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I thought later in the second half, that's when we kind of calmed down after they really had come out of the gates firing. Keke Top comes in. I thought he and Lasma did a better job sort of coming short, hold up play, showing for the ball, using their physicality, kind of extend some things.
Agree.
Started getting some more balls in behind too, winning a lot of corner kicks, which we hadn't done in the first half as much. We really started kind of pushing towards the end line and making them clear the ball that way to buy us some free kick situations, which I think we can be dangerous from. And obviously saw that with the dead ball situation later.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to give Lohan a shout out. I thought he had a solid game offensively and defensively. And I actually kind of like that Merkin Oyan stack. Not stack, but like partnership on the left.
I agree.
I think especially when you have a center back or somebody playing that sort of role like Merkin, who's a little bit rangier. That kind of helps protect Oyan a little bit when he wants to get forward. He doesn't have to sprint back the entire game and then his defense suffers for it. I think you have a little bit more protection, a little bit more flexibility for him when you have him partnered with a Merkin. So and then you have Merkins obviously has an ability to whip in some of those balls and play the long balls too. So I think the two of them are a nice pair over there.
It's funny how they stacked up though, because I think at least I would think if you put both of them in the lineup prior to these last 2 games, I would think that Oyan's the one who's gonna be more further back and Merkin's gonna be up top just because of Oyan has a little bit more better defensive capabilities. But what we've seen over the last 2 games, at least under Geraerts, is that Merkin is fine there. He's got the pace. He's the most pacey. He has the most pace of anyone in the back, which helped a couple times in a game where we needed, Kalash and Kaminsky got beat and Merkin is
not afraid to use his body either. He's a pretty physical guy. He has a little bit of strength. I mean, he got some wiry strength, like Merkin. So I've been fine with it.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, huge goal obviously to go back ahead and get the win. On the road, our road form has been terrible. Nice to kind of break that. And 2 in a row, and that's what we need to do. It doesn't have to be pretty. It hasn't been super convincing, these. I mean, the result against Hannover, or or even this one. But I think the thing is, you're starting to see Schalke tighten up a little bit. Not as leaky as we were. It's a little bit more. It's definitely more organized. It's a bit more intentional. We're playing people tight. And we're finding a way, in some of these situations to kind of, grind out results in tight games, which is what we need to do. I mean, you can look at the DP match, played pretty tight. I mean, Pauli had chances in that game, but played pretty tight. And then ultimately it was a kind of one of those BS handball decisions that gives them a penalty, which is the only reason that went to extra time, where we ended up losing that game anyway. So that game almost could have been different too. So I think, I mean, obviously, nothing to get super excited about, but I think this kind of form at least gives me confidence that we're going to be fine. We're not going to be relegated this season.
Yeah,
and it's still early days, but the improvement under Geraerts, I'm okay with that. Now, how far we can go back up the table, that remains to be seen. But this has given me some at least I can take a deep breath now. I feel like we're probably going to be okay.
And I forgot about that St. Pauli game. We went up at halftime 1-0, and all the score lines in that DP Pokal weekend or weekday was like crazy. Bayern lost to Saarbrücken, and but good performance there. I think what we also seen is a lot of fight. We haven't seen fight all season long, and I thought these last 3 games there was fight. Against say Pauli, there was fight. Obviously, went into extra time. In the Hannover match, there was fight. The game kept going back and forth with the calls and this and that, but we got a 3-1 lead in that game. And in this game, we could have easily said a draw is good enough, right? And they didn't. They kept pushing at it, and I think that's as a result of the manager kind of like, hey, we got to kind of come out of our shell and get back to what we're good at and what we're traditionally about. And it's nice to get a win. I mean, shots were fairly even, 16-12 in favor of Nürnberg. Both teams 4 shots on target, possession fairly even. Fouls, we were fouling a lot more, but I'm fine with that. To your point, we're trying to keep things tight and close, and when you play the kind of tight, you're going to get more fouls, it seems like, against the opposition. And we had seven corners as a result, 7 corners, and they only had 4. So, and look at the table now. St. Pauli is still at the top of the table, but the last 2 wins, that's 6 points in the last couple of weeks. We are no longer in relegation spot. We are in 15th. And really, when you look at it, we're like, okay, we're still kind of far away, but look how close this table is. I mean, there's 5 points between us and 6th place Growth of Earth. I mean, like, that's amazing. And like, we're 8 points from the last promotion spot. That's not as bad as it seemed a couple of weeks ago. So get a couple more results. If we get a result against Elversberg, who's sitting in 10th place, that could jump us back up on the table again, a few more spots, and we keep collecting points. I think, I'm not going to say whether we can get promotion or not this year, but if we can get better results and jump up the table, I think that's what we're all looking for.
Yeah, we stop the bleeding with a chance to, to climb back up once again. How far we go remains to be seen, but the math isn't wild yet. And, who knows with winter signings if we're able to bring anybody in either, what the situation is. Yeah, we'll see.
Like I said, I love the fight that we had against St. Pauli. I know people were complaining about the tactics. We're like, oh, we're just playing the park the bus mentality. But like, yeah, St. Pauli is at a different level than us at the moment, and we had to, counterattack their good offense. And I thought we did a really good job. We were opportunistic, got the goal early in that game, and it wasn't for that, the handball like you mentioned, we would have won that game. So